All right, everybody. I hope you can hear me. The camera's a little farther away than I usually would want it. I want to preface this video with, I do not know what happened on that day, and none of us do. And I believe we're having information kept from us. I don't want to discredit the other shooters' theories altogether, because the whole situation seems really, really, really fishy to me. And there's a lot of information that you can find in other places that seem to not be being released. My point of this video, however, is to disprove the lies that people continue to spread about rifles. At this point, I've seen a Navy SEAL claim that it is impossible to put your rifle, especially a K98 Mauser, back together in less than a few minutes. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. I do not have a K98 Mauser, but I did contact another precision rifle builder that I know that I went to school with, and he specifically built a K98 Mauser, and I had a really long conversation with him. And I will have pictures of both an original K98 Mauser he's working on currently, and his custom precision rifle he built out of a K98 Mauser. Which now has, instead of the original wood stock, it is in a sporterized stock. He has a wood stock just like this. He carved his like I did mine. And everybody saying that you can't take that gun apart with a screwdriver is a liar. They are lying to you, and I am going to prove them to be liars, all of them. And on top of that, that rifle can be put together from this position in less than a minute. Now, I'm not here to debate whether or not he took the rifle in his pant leg and hiked up there and pulled it out separated. I don't believe that. I think that either one, the rifle was already placed up there the night before, the day before, whether it be someone helped him or he managed to get it up there. I also think that in the video, it's clear you can see that he dropped something and is running off with something in his hand that appears to be a towel or a sweatshirt or something covering what I would assume would be the rifle. So I assume he took it with him when he left the roof. But what I will say is, I don't think he broke the rifle back down after the shooting. I think that it's potential that it was on the roof, split apart like this, and that he got up there and put it together. There's no telling how much practice he had disassembling and reassembling that rifle. And I can tell you myself, having not a lot of experience with K98s, just because it's not a gun that I own. So, you know, I've had my hands on them. I've used them at ranges and stuff. But I know for a fact that I can disassemble that lower plate and remove the upper in 30 seconds. Less than that, probably. And you'll see in the pictures I show you later, in the images from the book that I'm going to put in when I do, this video is going to be recorded in multi-sections and put together. I'm going to show you that all it takes to remove your lower plate from your rifle, like this one on this Howa, is a push button right here at the back of the plate, which you would push in with the tip of a bullet or a small screwdriver, depending. Most people would use a tip of a bullet to do it because it was designed to be done in combat. And slide the plate, and the whole follower and spring comes out with the lower plate. Or, again, we don't know how disassembled he did it. It is actually possible, because on the K98, this is a solid magazine well. On a Howa, it's built up in. So this is how a K98 would look. Just like that. And you just take that, stick it up in the bottom. But regardless, if you left it in this configuration, there's a set screw at the front, a screwdriver, flathead, then your main front lug screw, and then your rear screw. And this all comes out, can be removed as one piece depending upon whether or not you took out your spring and follower. Mine, it separates. However, it goes back together really, really easy. And all it requires to do mine is this screwdriver. Now, the next argument is you lose your accuracy and your zero will be off. Again, that's not true. This barrel, trigger, action, magazine well, scope, it's all still in the exact same configuration it was when I removed it from this stock. And I literally, if you watch the last video, there was no scope on this rifle. This is a super cheap $60 scope that I put on here before I got my precision scope. It was just something to throw on, to mess around with. And I shot deer at 100 yards with this scope and hit dead on where I wanted to hit. As a matter of fact, my first deer I ever took in my life was taken with this, a 7-point buck. And now he hangs on my wall. So I'm going to show you. We're assuming that it may have been on the roof already wrapped in a towel. Because again, I don't know, but I don't think he carried it up there that day. I do not believe that it was in his pant leg and that he had an upper section to a bolt action rifle like this shoved down in his pant leg and limping up the stairs. Maybe. I very, 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 very highly doubt it. Next would be, everybody wants to talk about, oh, he shoved it in his pant leg and jumped off the roof, and that's why he's walking weird. No, I think he jumped from a 12, 15-foot roof, and I think he damaged his leg, and I think he was limping because of that. And I think that's why he knew that he couldn't run away, and therefore he had to ditch his rifle as soon as he could so that he could hop away. Maybe he planned to put it in a bush. I don't know. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know if it was even found in a bush like they claim. All we've seen is a picture of it in a cardboard box. We haven't even seen the towel. So I don't know. But back to my original point, to pull apart a bolt action rifle, and most of them are like this, it's 2 bolts. That's it. That's all I have to take out. I'm on one of my ranges, and down there, that's 131 yards from where my bag's laying. And I'm going to put this rifle together in front of you. I'm going to lay down on that bag, and I'm going to put a headshot on that gong at 131 yards. And a big part of this is the argument that he couldn't have done it on a cold bore. Cold bore meaning no rounds have been fired through it. It's not warmed up. Like if you're in a firefight with an AR or something like that, you're more than likely not going to have a cold bore because you're getting lots of rounds down. With a bolt action rifle, however, the most important shot to a precision shooter, a sniper, like a Navy SEAL maybe, would be your cold bore zero. You would zero your rifle at a cold bore. And what I do for all of my rifles is I go to the range, I put one round down, I make an adjustment based off of the calculations on that because that was a cold bore shot. Then I take a temperature gun and I keep a reading of the temperature of my barrel and inside my chamber. When it is dropped back to the same exact temperature it was, then I start setting myself up for my second cold bore shot. It could easily be slightly off in the barrel by, a degree or two, but the reality is the way I do it, checking muzzle, outer of the chamber, and in the chamber, I tend to be pretty accurate with my rifles and know what I'm doing. So here we are. We are going to take this now. We're going to assume that he's got this. Again, I do not believe that he brought it in with him that day and hiked up those stairs out of, I don't know what it is, a carport or something like that. Like, it looks like he's hiking up stairs out of something with a cement floor, which I assume would be a parking garage or something. The only things he would need would be the screwdriver to put the lower on. And a lot of people, I think I might have already said this, they don't even put the set screw back in K98 Mausers. Like, as long as you have built it properly, like this one, I'll show you real quick. This one is called pillar bedded. So it actually has had channels cut through it and aluminum towers bedded into the inside. So that no matter what, when this gun comes apart and it goes back together exactly how it was the last time. That's part of building precision rifles. Again, or on the side, I don't know how precision of a rifle it was that he had because they won't tell us anything. But it is a more modern sporter stock. That is not a K98 Mauser stock. It is not. That would be an aftermarket synthetic type stock, whether it's plastic or whatever, I don't know, a polymer of some sort. But the reality is it could have been bought with pillar beds already in it for the K98 Mauser. There's a lot of them, which means they make stocks designed for them. Mine was custom done, but that's really all you need to make sure you got your accuracy. You know, this rifle's been I lapped the lugs on it. I trued the action on it. It's been done to extremely small tolerances to make sure that it works how I want, when I want. I told you before that it was set up for a suppressor. I'm not going to have a suppressor on it for this video because he didn't have a suppressor on his gun. So I'm going to wear earmuffs, which I do not prefer to do, but I'm going to do it for my hearing's sake. I am going to be using a super cheap full metal jacket that I loaded, and it's just waste on the range ammo. This is not built to any precision specs. This is literally just built so that I have some rounds that when I want to go out and just, you know, throw some lead onto some steel, I can. I'll take these out and go up into the 310 yard house and stuff like that and let rounds go down range. But so this is not a precision round. This is, you know, it's built, all of them are put together the same, but it's not designed to be some highly precision round. It's just a play round. So I'm now going to only using one round. There's no need for me to load more. I'm not taking more than one shot. But I'm going to wrap this up real quick. We assume, what? I'll put screws in my pocket, right? Maybe he brought them with him, maybe he didn't. I'm going to take that. We're going to go. Now, I'm not going to lay down on the ground as I assume he would have done on the roof. I'm going to do it on the bed of the truck just because there's no reason for that. I could do this laying down the same as I can do this standing up. And if you have any practice on your rifle, it doesn't take long. So, and we begin. Got to remember to get the screws out the pocket, don't I? All right. And if you know what you're doing, you know you always want to have your front one tightened down first, not your rear one. And I'm going to say right now that, well, first off, I'm not going to tighten this all the way down. But we don't know how long he had on that roof. I suppose the FBI or some law enforcement agency does, but we don't. But right there, and then snug up the front one because that's your most needed one to be snug. And then there we go. That's done. What'd that take me? 42 seconds? I'm going to put some earmuffs on. I'm going to go lay down. And I'm going to let one shot go on a head-sized target at 131 yards. Also, I set up my shooting bag. We know he had a backpack, so he did not have a bipod. So I'm assuming he must have used his backpack as his bag to hold the front of the rifle up. So that's what we're going to do. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a cold bore shot at 131 yards on a rifle that was disassembled that did not lose its zero. Stop letting people lie to you about whether or not it's a doable shot. My argument is not on his behalf or against his behalf on how many shooters there were, but people are lying about whether or not it could be done, to include Navy SEALs for some reason. Now, I don't know that man. That is not the team that I worked with. I'm not going to say which team I did work with. I wasn't with them. Let me make that really, really clear. I was not a Navy SEAL. I was not attached to them. I was not in any manner other than that, other than where I was. We fought a lot of really bad guys, a lot. And they were around a lot. And I cleared houses with them. So I don't understand why someone would say that that's not possible. I just did it all for you on camera. No cuts. And again, a K98 Mauser modernized in a sporter stock does not take several minutes to disassemble or put together at all. It just doesn't. But for that, we're now going to give that rifle. I'm going to bring it back over here and I'm going to take it apart and show you how long it would take to take it apart and put it in a towel. However, I do not believe for 1 second that he tore the rifle apart after the shot. Also, one more thing, and I'll put in, I got a bunch of pictures that are going to be edited into this and a book that I'm going to be breaking out to show you the actual takedown disassembly procedure for a K98. So I will roll those pictures in to show you so that you see it all. But let's get this taken apart real quick. And also, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, the bolt did not have to be removed for that process. But we are going to, again, leave the bolt in. I'm going to grab my screwdriver. I'm going to start with my rear bolt. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove my front bolt. And then I am going to separate upper and lower plate. It's that fast. It can be done. Oh, I remember the other thing I was going to say a second ago is everybody trying to say that he put his scope on backwards. No, he didn't. And I'm going to roll in a picture of his rifle so that I can disprove that lie as well. If you look at this scope on the back, this is 3 to 9 by 50. So 50 is the front. 3 to 9 is your zoom power. I assume looking at his, he probably had, I don't know, a 1 to 6 by 40 maybe scope. But you can clearly see in the image the turn knob for his adjustments for his magnification. Whatever it be, this is a 3 to 9, so I can go to a 3 power or zoom all the way to a 9 power. He didn't take his scope off. He didn't put his scope on there. It just wouldn't work that way. Like, this is what his upper of his rifle would have looked like. And as you saw, cold bore shot, 131 yards. This is a 308, not a 30-06, but in the last video I showed you, the ballistics are almost exactly identical. The only real difference is short action for a 308 and long action for a 30-06, which just means that the amount of space you have for a casing to actually go into the action, which would be this portion right here, is either long or short. And they do make Magnum as well. For some rounds, they got to be even bigger. Like, I believe 338 Lapua Magnum is done on a Magnum action. I could be wrong on that. However, the 30-06 is a long action, and this is a short action because it's 308. And I showed you in the other video there is a difference in length, and you're not putting a 30-06 in a 308, it's not going to fit. So, and don't run a 308 and a 30-06 either. You're going to have some real problems. But that's it for this portion of the video. I will get what I can get done later on today. I got a really busy day, but I'm going to get more of this done, and I am going to show you all this stuff is lies, man. Like again, I have no idea why people who claim to be combat veterans are lying about things like this, unless, again, they're either a liar, disingenuous, or they don't know what they're talking about. And again, I don't see how a Navy SEAL could not know that this is how a bolt-action rifle works. I'm just saying, I don't like lying to people. Revelations 21:8. Read it. All liars are going to burn. I'm not lying. I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to come on one of my videos and I'm going to say something that's not true. And again, this is not about trying to prove whether or not it was done the way that we're being told it was done. This is about disproving the lies that people are spreading about firearms and ballistics and what a bolt-action rifle can do. You just watched me with no cuts, no edits, do exactly what they are telling you is impossible. It's not. I just did it. So, I don't know what to say. I hope everybody that's watching this gets enough out of this and understands that we are clearly being lied to by people who I would never think would lie to us, which makes me think something is going on. But what? I mean, I'm not here to theorize on any of that. Like, I'm just not. I am a weapons specialist, a weapons expert, a designated marksman in my platoon. Like, I don't like people lying about firearms. And the last thing I wanted to do was post firearms videos. Like, one particular platform likes to stop my viewage whenever I do that. And I don't like that. That's why I do homesteading stuff. I stopped doing gun videos. However, at this point, I feel like this one is absolutely necessary. It's absurd that these things are being said by people that are professionals. Well, from one professional to another, stop lying to people because you're wrong.